I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, November the 18th, 2014. Funerals were held today in Israel for the 4 victims of the deadly terror attack that took place this morning at the Kehilat Yaakov synagogue in the Jerusalem neighborhood of Har Nof. As you may have seen on IBA News, 43-year-old Rabbi Aryeh Kopinski, 58-year-old Rabbi Avraham Shmuel Goldberg, 50-year-old Rabbi Kalman Levine, and 59-year-old Rabbi Moshe Twersky were murdered by 2 Palestinian terrorists who entered the synagogue during prayers this morning and began shooting and stabbing worshipers. Police arrived at the scene and shot and killed the 2 attackers. Twersky, Kopinski, and Levine were all dual U.S. and Israeli citizens. Twersky was also the elder son of renowned rabbi and author Rabbi Yitzchak Isidore Twersky of Boston and a grandson of renowned Rabbi Joseph B. Soloveitchik. Goldberg was a dual British-Israeli citizen. A rabbi speaking at Twersky's funeral today lamented that on one street, 4 widows and 24 orphans were left. 8 others were injured in the attack, including 2 police officers. 2 of the injured are said to be critical, 2 serious, 1 moderately injured, and 2 lightly hurt. The 2 terrorists in the attack were reportedly cousins Uday and Ghassan Abu Jamal, both Palestinian residents of the East Jerusalem neighborhood of Jabal Mukaber. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed that Israel would respond harshly to this brutal attack, and today ordered the demolition of the homes of the 2 terrorists, after which riots broke out in the neighborhood. Several members of the terrorists' families were also detained by Israel police earlier today. The synagogue attack was condemned today by U.S. President Barack Obama, who called it horrific. The president said there is and can be no justification for such attacks against innocent civilians. Obama added, "At this sensitive moment in Jerusalem, it is all the more important for Israeli and Palestinian leaders and ordinary citizens to work cooperatively together to lower tensions, reject violence, and seek a path towards peace." U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry condemned the attack, as well as did the European Union ambassador in Israel and the foreign ministries of Canada, France, Germany, Turkey, and Bahrain. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas condemned the attack as well, but also condemned what he called Israeli provocation. Abbas said the Palestinian presidency has always condemned the killing of civilians on both sides and condemns today the killing of worshipers in a house of worship in West Jerusalem, adding it also condemns all acts of violence from whatever source and demands an end to invasions of Al-Aqsa Mosque, to the provocations of settlers, and to the incitement of certain Israeli ministers. Other Palestinian leaders praised the attack, including leaders of Hamas, who called for more such attacks. And Jewish organizations here in the U.S. expressed their horror and grief over the attack today at the synagogue. B'nai B'rith International called the murder of people as they pray the height of depravity and urged the United Nations and world community to strongly condemn such violence and urged the Palestinian Authority to end incitement. Leaders of the Reform movement called the attack on innocent people in their place of worship, quote, an affront to all humanity. World Jewish Congress President Ronald Lauder said, "Whoever attacks peaceful worshipers in a synagogue, a mosque, or a church is a despicable criminal." Lauder also said of PA President Abbas that he must show strong leadership now if he wants to retain any credibility. Executive Director of the American Jewish Committee David Harris echoed the sentiment, saying Abbas must be crystal clear in speaking to his own people that violence against Israelis is totally unacceptable and firmly rejected by the PA, or else he should give up any pretense of being Israel's putative peace partner in the quest for a 2-state accord. The leaders of the National Council of Young Israel said the words of condemnation from the Palestinian Arab leaders ring hollow without meaningful acts to eradicate these types of violent terrorist acts. Anti-Defamation League National Chair Barry Curtis Lusher and National Director Abe Foxman said the condemnation by PA President Abbas followed weeks of silence and failure to address hateful incitement. They said his half-hearted statement is woefully inadequate Had Mr. Abbas spoken out against earlier terror attacks, lives may have been saved. And Dean and founder and Associate Dean of the Simon Wiesenthal Center, Rabbis Marvin Heyer and Abraham Cooper, urged the European Union to warn the PA that they would suspend aid to the Palestinians if such terror is not reined in. And turning now to our programming for tonight, Tuesday, November the 18th, more of our exclusive television coverage from the Jewish Federations of North America's General Assembly. Vice President Joe Biden and author A.J. Jacobs speak at the GE plenary, followed at 8:30 by a breakout session where U.S. diplomat Elliot Abrams and Washington Institute for Near East Policy's David Makovsky talk Middle East, U.S. foreign policy and prospects for peace. That's tonight on JBS and jbstv.org. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, November the 18th, 2014. I'm Teisha Bader.